Hello, and welcome to the 20th BOH Cameronian Arts Awards on set. My name is Miriam, and joining me today are the nominees for Best Choreographer in Musical Theatre. So on my right is Kenny, who is being nominated for Life Is and The Working Dead, Naim for Teater Muzikal Sakti, Merong, Mahawangsa, and Sara for Teater Muzikal Sudirmania. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you.
How are you all feeling?
Nervous?
Okay lah, not bad.
Okay lah, yeah. Renomination ke?
Ada, janganlah. Ada. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Kenny. Let me perhaps begin with wanting to know you a little bit more. How did you get into the arts?
How did I get into the arts? Okay.
Tell us your journey.
Wow. I have always been very interested to dance and to perform ever since I was very young. I actually never had a proper training or at least taken proper classes until later in my teen years. Yeah, so I started dancing in festive seasons where you see malls and all that, and you see a group of kids dancing. That's actually how I started. I grew a passion from that. And then obviously you go to, your primary school, you also have the concerts that you do, you dance in that. And eventually that really became something that I really enjoy and really wanted to pursue. I didn't know what to call it yet. I didn't know what it was, passion or whatever it is. All I knew is just I want to do it. Yeah. I just wanted to dance. So I decided to continue to do it whenever there's an opportunity to do it. And luckily my parents were very kind and they have always encouraged me to try new things. Yeah. So they have been very supportive until I told them I want to do dance as a profession.
Yes.
But that said, things have turned around and they are very supportive now. So yeah, in many ways it started with simple acts of performances and then eventually grew to something like this.
Yeah. Did you start in a particular genre or start?
Actually, yes. I started in musical theatre.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, that was when I was younger. I was dancing in musicals. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in many ways, this is almost like a full cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, how beautiful. We will come back to that. We will come back. Naim, Sara, how did you get into this journey?
I do. Sama je macam Kenny. Tapi I punya bukan musical theatre lah. I punya biasalah orang Melayu kan mesti nak menari-menari kat orang kahwin tu kan. So makcik I ni macam tak cukup orang kan. Jom join group ni. Kita perlukan penari-penari. So I menari tarian tradisional dulu lah. Meriah-meriahkan orang kahwin kan. Lepas tu buat citrawala kan. Kita suka kan. Kita suka-suka nak meriah-meriah ni. And then start dari situ, I think umur I berapa? Tak ingat lah. Jam 4 atau 3 macam tu lah. And then I buat teater kanak-kanak. So lepas tu I tak minat sangat lah berlakon tu. And then sebab I rasa macam nak menari nak buat something dengan tarian. So bila I masuk aswara tu, lepas tu barulah benda tu evolve around me lah. So jadilah Naim sekarang ni.
So memang like masa sekolah dulu like did you join any like club?
Tak ada. I join makcik I, dia ada club tau, club tarian sendiri. So dia pun perlu anak-anak dia pun menari. So dia panggil family semua join. Macam tu lah. Family punya. Macam tu lah orang Melayu kan macam lah. Nak meriah-meriahkan majlis.
But so nice.
Kan? Tak tahulah awak macam mana.
Start dengan Swatari actually, partner production. And then lepas tu mula minat dengan dance, and then after SPM want to further more about the dance, and then go further the study at the Indonesia. ISI Padang Panjang Indonesia, and then lepas tu become a professional dancer, artis budaya in the Petronas Performing Arts Group, and also MBPJ also, and pernah ke Yayasan Warisan Johor juga for 1 year around there. So dah banyak macam travel everywhere to be a dancer that time. And then lepas tu until the time that I think that I don't want to dance anymore. But the thing that I tak pernah terfikir that I can choreo or something. That's the things lah. Because we starting with the dance only. We just macam ni lah, seronok-seronok, suka-suka with the friends, semua kan, but we don't know that one day we can be the choreographers or something.
Tell us about the first piece you choreographed, whether it's for musical theatre or for a dance work. That moment where you realized, oh, actually, I can choreograph?
Okay. Okay. Maybe right. Masa I further study at in the dance faculty at Indonesia, I'm not choosing a choreography actually. I ambil the research penulisan. And then I tak nak go further in the choreography actually. But and then at the time bila I balik Malaysia, and then at the Petronas that time, they asked me to do one choreography untuk one of the event. So I try to do that time. At that time baru I feel that, oh okay, I can do it rupanya. Macam tu. That's the first time I'm doing lah. And then lepas tu pun I tak pernah confident to do any choreography. But the one thing I believe that bila kita terpaksa buat, then we know that we can do it actually. It just we need to push ourselves.
Kenny, how about you?
So, interesting your question. When do you know you can be a choreographer? Actually, until now, I feel like sometimes I don't know if I'm a choreographer. Even though I'm doing it consistently. I think it's this sort of dichotomy of like, are we good enough in our craft? Are we pushing ourselves more? Are we at the place where, okay, can I really say that I'm a choreographer? Can I really say that I'm a professional dancer when there are so many people out there that you continue to be passionate and admire of, you know, and so much, in a way, so much better than your craft. So in that sense, it's always kind of like a push and pull, right? Push and pull is that some days I feel like, oh, I can do it. Some days I'm like, oh no, I cannot do this. This is what's happening to me, you know? But I have to say, the first encounter of choreography for me was really when I was actually at church in a small production that we do in church, and I was tasked to make this piece, and I knew I had this sort of burning passion and burning fire to translate that music into dance, and I don't know how to go about it. I didn't know what were the steps, I didn't know what were the processes like, but all I know is just what can I understand from the music, and from that, can I translate that into my body and the body of my friends, dancers. And that was sort of the ignition to a lot of the passion to choreograph for me. It was that sort of, oh, how can that be in movement? How would that look in the body language rather than the verbal language, rather than the melody, rather than the percussive rhythm? How can that be a bodily communication between dancers and dancers, as well as dancers and audience? Yeah.
Oh, it's quite beautiful. Okay, we will come back to this. Yeah. Naim, what about you?
I punya journey ni boring tau, sebab bila kita belajar ke Aswara kan, you kena belajar subjek choreography, improvisation, composition. So nak tak nak kita kena follow all this syllabus benda tu kan. So benda tu jadi macam bila I masuk kelas koreografi, I cakap boleh ke aku buat koreografi ni, sebab bukan nak cakap apalah, bila kita menari kita rasa kita ni dah boleh menari. Faham tak? Aku dah boleh menari dah. Aku tak nak buat benda lain, aku nak menari je. But bila kita tengok macam Kenny cakap, bila kita dah surround dengan people yang boleh menari, kita rasa macam aku tak boleh nak lawan dia lah. Of course I tak boleh lawan Kenny, kaki dia macam ni mana boleh. I tak boleh nak compete dengan dia. So that time I macam tak apalah, aku cuba buat koreografi. So bila ada event dekat Aswara, student kena buat work. Kan I buat work. So from there dapat good feedback semua from semua orang lah. So macam mungkin aku boleh choreograph kot. I cakap macam tu, I boleh cuba choreograph untuk. So start from there, I slowly develop lah. Walaupun piece tu tak berjaya, for me is okay. It's a learning process kan. Betul, berjaya tak berjaya, lantaklah janji aku buat sebab people perlu tahu what is kebolehan I selain daripada menari lah. So this is my macam mana I boleh terjebak termasuknya dalam choreography punya stuff lah.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to some of these more, I suppose, personal insights on your journey. But just to focus in a little bit on the works that you have been nominated, what was your process like in creating the choreography for these pieces? Perhaps Sarah, if we can start with you.
So in terms of the Teater Muzikal Sudirmania itself, right? Okay, so starting with the first, the process start dengan I need to love the music first lah, the lagu kan. And then because this is a theatre musical, so I need to understand about the scene and also the story. It's about what. And the thing is how we can blend the dance ensembles with the actor, with the scene, with the direction of from the director. So how we can blend together it itself. So the process is more a brainstorming with the director, also with the costume designer, and also with the dancer capability, what they can do it, and also capability with the actors. So the process is together actually is a collaborative work. Everyone.
Did you because of course like this it's a tribute to this big concert that was held, and did you have to do any kind of research on the actual concert in itself, or?
Yes, also, but actually because this musical is not a biography of the Sudirman, right? It's just the people around there in 80s. So the research is more about the 80s vocab of movements, right? And then the research about the scene itself and the character, each of the characters. So research is more about that, and then how we blend together as a choreography.
Can you give us an example of like that 80s body language? Because it's very different, I assume, 40 years ago.
Yeah, sometimes I also watching the film macam the inspiration is from the Footloose or Elvis Presley like doing this, something like that. So from the vocab there, then just we create the choreography, because I think the choreography is still same kan, macam the composition ke leveling ke canon whatsoever kan, itu just a knowledge on the skills, tapi the vocab of the movement tu based on the era lah, 80s, something like this one or something kan. So you just
put it
collab all.
So, I'm very fortunate to be involved in 2 productions this year, Life is and Working Dead, and it's quite interesting because both the productions really I was working with actors, singers, and dancers who have to do all 3 simultaneously. So we didn't have the opportunity to have a separate group of dancers that would just come in to do the big dancing ensemble numbers. So they are singing and dancing and acting at the same time. And in many ways, a big shout out to my musical theatre friends, and I don't know how they do it. I'm a dancer. Just even breathing was tough enough when I'm dancing. What more to sing and to act and dance, you know? So that in itself is really like I give it to them. But I think for me, my process is really about the people, about who I'm working with, and the context of the story. Of course, story, it's the primary thrust of what needs to be communicated to the audience through singing, through the acting, as well as through the dancing. So whatever that we do has to first and foremost acknowledge what the story or the emotion or the vibe of the scene or the happenings that happened before and after the scene. So all that is part of our consideration when we choreograph a scene. But I think for me, it was really much more about working with the performers and recognizing, okay, what are their strengths and what can they do? And to really embellish on it much more. And to recognize that, hey, this, for example, this guy can really turn. Let's make it work. Let's see how I could use that skill and to transform it into my vocabulary, but highlighting that person. And the same way for, the girl who happens to do amazing jumps. Why don't we do that, And fortunate that the piece is not an era scene, so I can actually be more fluid with the vocabulary of material because it's both of the modern time. So I can really just pull from whatever ideas that I want and just work it out. But ultimately, it's that communication between me, the performers, and the creative team. And how can we sort of think through what happens before, what happens after, now in this moment, what is needed to be communicated. And I think that was the sort of the process that I always go through with the dance.
It's interesting. Especially because Sakti, Merong, Mahawangsa,
it's epic kan.
I know.
Betul. Bila kita deal dengan cerita yang sangat epic kan, kita tak dia sangat challenging memang lah, tapi sebab dia musical memang mencabar I dari segi I punya bukan choreographer kan, kita as a choreographer dia memang this is tahapnya paling mencabar lah dalam hidup I bila buat karya lah. Musical ni memang mencabar because satu cast semua bagus, sangat super, cuma sebab bila I kena deal dengan pelakon, aktor yang kena menari. Bukan penari, I tak dapat penari pun dalam musical ni, tak ada dancers yang I boleh work. Semua aktor. So bila kita nak buat apa yang kita nak tu sometimes tak dapat. Betul, limited kan. So macam how aku nak perah otak aku ni, macam mana aku nak blend semua benda ni ikut apa yang director nak, is sangat susah lah. Sebab pelakon sometimes dia limited kan. Dia boleh berlakon, dia boleh menyanyi. But bila nak move tu sangat susah. Kayu pun lagi cantik kan. So how aku nak mold dia ni, susah tau. So this is the biggest challenge lah I yang bila buat musical Merong ni. Lagi satu sebab dia epic cerita yang epic. So otak you kena epic juga.
So your movements, are they like bigger or?
Yes. Benda tu satu memang kita kena buat something. Okay, kelebihan dia macam dia kena follow the era. Macam ni modern apa semua. Mine is benda yang tak ada lagi kan. So macam aku boleh buat apa je aku nak, tapi still follow dia punya the feel of the music, the suasana tu, the ambience semua tu kita kena follow jugalah. So for me okay, cuma the kekangan tu sebab I tak dapat kalau I dapat penari ni seronok hidup aku, senang hidup aku, tapi terbang. Tapi I bukan nak cakap apa, bukan. Itu adalah cabaran I lah. For me. Sebab yes, tapi bekerja dengan orang sangat seronok. Betul. Kan? Kerja dengan cast yang boleh buat apa yang kita nak. Director kan dapat group apa yang kita nak. So benda tu akan jadi sangat smooth lah. Very nice.
What was your favourite piece in all the works? What's your favourite piece to choreograph, and when you nampak tu you were like, memang lah, cantik lah. Satisfaction.
Kalau macam I kan ada satu scene pergaduhan antara Merong and Garuda. So the fighting scene lah. Sebab for me I tak nak buat macam fight yang biasa macam tu kan. For me kita buat let's make it simple tapi benda tu very effective. So I buatlah macam dia berdiri kat atas kan, berdiri kat atas tu and kita bergerak macam tu, buat formation je tapi small movement tapi effective. So bagi I bila kita audience dari jauh tengok kan, the view tu kan dia nampak gah. For me walaupun simple tapi dia very effective, I happy dah. So,
nice. And you also had like the ensemble and the wings and how was it like synchronizing semua? Okay.
Itulah cabaran.
Moving on swiftly.
Okay, untuk Sudirmania ada macam lots of music there. Susah I nak cakap which one the favourite, because every scene tu got a different character, different movements. But I think maybe if I need to choose, ada satu lagu ni actually tajuk dia Tanah Pusaka. So actually the song patriotic tau. It's a patriotic song tapi sang by 3 matpad, isap ganja, and then they are in high. Lepas tu ada ensembles, all the ensembles also jadi matpad. But they need to sing and dance for that patriotic song. And the scene is actually about the critics of it's got a critics, but at the same time they are high. They got a vision in that scene. So the first thing bila I buat, actually the vocab tu dia macam senaman pagi je tau, ada stretching, bangun pagi, stretching like that kan. Tapi bila when dah become the whole choreography with the ensembles and the actor yang tengah sing tu, I macam okay, memang dia all nampak high, nyanyi Tanah Pusaka something like, but in the high version, and then and starting with the slow movement, and then lepas tu bila dah rancak dia mosh pit like rasta style. So I like lah that choreography because lagu patriotic sang by the
Yes.
mud pad.
Yes.
And all the ensembles also high with the
Yeah.
ganja and something, but they're singing and dance for that song.
Yeah.
So I
And a
like it.
very patriotic song.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice. Kenny, what?
Is it okay if I give
Yes,
two?
please.
Just for the two
Yes,
different productions.
Pula Kenny, okay lah.
For me, for Working Dead, I really enjoyed firstly working on the first opening number, Deadlines. I think that was actually a really fun track to work with. It's about the people, the workers in the show complaining about the constant deadline and the constant work hours that they have to put in order to be still hired and not fired, you know? So it's a little bit of angsty, it's very rhythmic, it's fun, it's got really punchy and funny lines in the lyrics. So I think it works really well, and working with we have portable tables that we pushed around. So we get to play levels, we get to play with, making percussive sound with the tables and all that, and different formations, from something that looks very military because they are like working people into something more organic. So I think all that was really quite fun to work with. And the cast were very like game for almost everything that was throw at them. It's not easy to climb on a walking or rather a portable table, but they're still on it, Not all of them are dancers, like you say, or at least trained to be dancers, but all of them, we get them mixed to get up there as high as they possibly can, so to show the angstness, the anger. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed that particular scene. And it was the opening number, so I knew that it needs to be super catchy, because there's a saying, if you don't catch the audience in the first two numbers, you lose them entirely, right? So I knew I needed to kind of really push for that. The other scene for Life Is that I really enjoyed actually doing was the song called Doggy Dance.
Okay.
Doggy Time.
Doggy
Mine is
time.
Doggy Time. The dance, I call
Sorry,
it Doggy Dance. Yeah. Doggy Time. Basically, it's about a really beautiful relationship between a dog, the pet, as well as the owner of the pet, and the perspective of the pet. So it was quite interesting because very rarely we get the chance to sort of embody animalistic behavior, especially in a musical sense, unless you do cats and all that, So I knew that was quite a fun one to work with, and having the opportunity to work with the cast, I told them very strictly is that we don't want you to be actual dogs. So don't behave like dogs. But what you want is to be able to be human in a perspective of a dog, in a perspective of the pet. How would you, putting yourself in the shoes of your pet, look at your owner, when they come back from home? How would you, when you're hot, what kind of things would you do? So rather than, it's hot, so I need to pan. It becomes very mimicry, and I didn't want it to be mimicry, even though I know it's supposed to be a little bit slapstick, a little bit cheesy, but I wanted to still have a touch of artistry with it. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And the cast, again, was very keen on just whatever that is being thrown at them. And bear in mind, for Life Is, the entire ensemble, they are not just not dancers, they are also actually non-professionals. This is a community group of men coming together every Friday, committedly to have a community to enjoy each other's singing, enjoy each other's dancing. And this is their first project. So many of them, this is their first time going on stage. And to have the opportunity to see them grow from really no self-esteem on dancing to the point that they're on stage dancing, to me, that's the biggest fulfillment.
Beautiful. Just to bring this conversation a little bit to a close, I think we've talked about your personal journeys and the works that you've choreographed. My question is, who is a choreographer?
I tahu.
Why so difficult? Why are you making it so difficult?
I don't know. It's purely inspired by all your answers. So.
I think it seemed like Kenny just now. Actually, we also don't know that we are enough to put ourselves as a choreographer.
Claim diri sendiri as a choreographer.
Because we're also, I don't know, like, sometimes it's not because we are not confident with ourselves. It just I think I also still finding what is a choreographer actually should do. Actually. I still we are still learning. We are still looking. So I also don't know who's a choreographer.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. I think it's constantly evolving. But in your current, I suppose, in your current journey, what are the things you know falls under your responsibility
As a choreographer?
Yeah.
Take your time. Kalau macam kita ni, kita anggap dia as a macam someone yang dia design something, lepas tu dia bagi how benda tu boleh connect dengan audience yang tengok, and then dia akan inspire people yang tengok tu untuk to be benda tu, something apa yang dia tengok tu lah. For me, this is job of not choreographer lah, but semua lah, dancers, actor, semua, this is dia orang punya, we are punya job untuk buat all that kind of things yang I cakap tadi tu lah.
I think for me as well, like when it comes to musical, it's a bit it's not as black and white as like, choreographer, you handle all the dancing, and then director, you only do the actors and all that. I think it's a really merge and a really good blend of artistic collaboration. I think that's what I feel most successful musical theatre shows happen to be, is when the reality of the workload is not falling on your task or my task, but the reality is on this table. We are all here partaking on this responsibility together. And even for live is as well as for working there, the composer or the arranger would speak to me, is this bar enough for the dancing? Can I extend it for you? Do you want to shorten it? And the director say, oh, can we use this person? Can we try this way? Can we move in this way? Can we use this move that I see you did on the other day? And I think that actually, that collaboration of artistry is what I find much more rewarding. And more than just the title of being a choreographer, but the reward of being in this table, on this table with this special people making these decisions together. And these decisions are not just directors, composers, and choreographers and cinematography or set designer or light designer. These are also people from the book, the writers, the dancers themselves, the actors who come in and have an interpretation of the character that they think what it is, and that actually shifts our perspective as the one, quote unquote, creating the show. And I think it's that I really feel being a choreographer is a negotiator. We negotiate. We talk through what is needed to tell a story through movement.
Setuju.
I agree also with that, because I also thinking that it's not a dance performance itself, it's not music performance or sing performance or drama. It's a collaborative work between all the designers. That's why it's called musical theatre, right? We are creating together.
Then I suppose the choreographers, in by way of being a negotiator, it's also about being open to all these different elements and interpretations and helping the body translate that. Well, thank you so much. This has been a delicious conversation, and thank you for sharing your perspectives and being vulnerable and brave enough to also share how the journey has been like for you. Congratulations once again on your nominations.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
you so
thank
much for
you.
having us.
Thank you for you too.
Thank you. And congratulations, guys. Thank you.
We're never going to end this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you